Hey there, everybody. Robert Taylor with Wonderscape Creations, continuing on with my world building series. Before we progress any further, I'd like to provide a brief shout out to my Patreon supporters. If you would like to join my group, please select the Patreon link below. However, if you do not want to join Patreon, but you would like to provide a brief donation, you can always buy me coffee. The link is also down below. So we are at a precipice where there's a lot that relies on one another in order to see very much difference. So in this episode, we're very much going to be cleaning things up a bit. I would make it to where we can see grass and rock. However, we're still missing half of the information that's here, so it would create more work for us down the road. So I encourage you to ignore that for now. Continue on with this. So if you can, for me, open up the MF_material layer base. We need to hop on in here, and we're going to clean this up a bit. And before we do that, we're going to do something that in my work in the game that I'm making, I discovered that sometimes the roughness is a little too strong for the specular. So we're going to keep doing the 1 minus, but the problem is this is no longer going to work as a single variable. So the first thing we're going to do real quick is we're going to come over here to where the roughness comes out of, which is the input mask. Pull out a G, get a 1 minus node, and then pull out of here to get a reroute to name it to specular. Because now we know it needs to be its own line. So we will delete that. Specular. Perfect. Alright, the next thing we need to do is we need to have this a bit more, a bit easier to read. So right now we have our input nodes all over the place. And for smaller bits of code, that's fine because it's easy to see. You know, like with this, how you just have a few of them. Not that big of a deal. But when you get into these bigger material functions, it gets more and more difficult to read. So the best thing to do is to have all the inputs in one section, and that's what we're going to do right now. So let's go ahead and, just in case you didn't know, Alt-clicking gets rid of it. Control-click is so you can grab and move it. Alt-click just completely removes the pin. So now we're going to come over here, out of the input albedo, name it reroute, albedo texture, and then in here, albedo texture. And this is pretty much what we're going to be doing for the remainder of the episode. So if you want to just stop here and do it yourself, you can. However, if you want to follow along, I will be doing it to better help with the organization, because there are a few things that I do to help keep things separated. So now we want, again, another reroute node. This one being called the noise texture. Bring this up here. Whoops. This one is the mask texture. The noise check oh no, not noise, normal texture. Sorry about that. Perfect. So now that we have these detached, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to get another input node. And it really doesn't matter, but because I don't want the V3 next to it, come up here, I'm going to make it a scalar. I'm going to call this texture inputs. And then I like to just put a bunch of stars, which is the multiply sign for those that don't know. You need the Shift 8, or if you have the keypad at the right, it's obviously right there. And I put roughly 12 of those here. So 1. Now you may be asking yourself, why am I doing this? I will show you in a moment. Next thing we want is reroute. We're going to name this one UV1. UV1. Whoops. Yeah. UV2. And now I'm going to grab these, put them like this. Copy and paste. Excuse me. So to make this easier, because I believe I have this set. Yeah. Okay. So we'll make this -1, 0. Actually, to make this even easier, -2, -1. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just making sure I have this. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. So now we know this one goes down here. And we want this one to be called 3. And we're going to call this one UVs. And then this should still be 4. Perfect. Now when I hit save, come in here to biome, I now have something that is separating the required from the not required. Helps understand where every section is, keep things organized and cleaned up. You don't have to do this, but it is what I do. There we go. So we got these. Now the next thing we're going to want is to get this again. Copy and paste. And we're going to name this one texture parameters. We have this at 5, so this will be number 6. And the next thing we are going to want to do is choose how to have it all organized. Now, usually I put the ones for this first, and then for this, and then for this. And that's what we're going to do. There's just going to be some things missing because there's a bunch of color alteration options that are currently missing. So what we will do is get what we can at the moment. Let me look at how I have mine set up real quick. Okay. All right. So we do have these 3 first. Well, second, third, and fourth. The first one isn't there right now. So let me get an input. And we will No, I don't want an input. That's ridiculous. Put an input with an input. Reroute, albedo, noise, contrast. And I'm going to copy and paste. Place these in here. Then I'm going to name this one brightness. And darkness. Oops. Albedo, noise, contrast. Albedo, noise, brightness. I know this is redundant, and I do apologize for that, but I needed something to give you guys a third video, and there were a few cleanup things that we needed to do. Albedo, darkness. This is very important to have everything organized. It helps you go through your code when you're adding new things or taking something away. It's very important. So I know that after this, that there's going to be excuse me, a bunch of other things that go on. So I'm going to, I have that at 6. There's one more here, 7. So this will be 8, 9, and 10. Then we have a whole bunch more noise stuff. So I'm going to actually change this to albedo parameters. And then I will copy and paste, and because I don't want to go through and take the time to count all of these, I'm going to name this one other parameters. Yeah. I'm going to put this one at 50. Because it doesn't matter as long as it's higher than what's going to be in between this and all of these. And I know I don't have 49 parameters in total between, so I know it's a safe number. Now from there, we now have the mask. So right now, we don't have any variables here. We will, and we're going to do those right now as part of the cleanup. For those that miss it, I will make sure I point it out to them. First, we want to hold down M to get a multiply. Plug that into the A. Again, hold down the M. Here we go. Then the next thing we are going to want is to right-click, input. This one will be a scalar. And we are going to call this one roughness. I'm going to hold down the 1 to get the 1 key. I'm going to make this a 2. Check mark that. Copy and paste. Call this one specular. And hold on the 1 for a 0. Place that in there. Now we have this one at 50, so this needs to be 51 and 52. Now I need a reroute for roughness strength. So that reminds me, I'm going to change these to strength, because they need to be, it needs to be understood. Reroute specular strength. Perfect. Now we want roughness strength and specular strength. It's this right here. just like that. Perfect. Now for displacement, it's only recently been brought back and only works if you are going to be using the nanite landscape. If you are, great. All we are going to do is hold down M again for multiply. And first we're going to move this down because I did forget about 1. So we'll make this 52 and 53. Now we will copy and paste this whole thing. This one will be displacement strength. Perfect. And this one will be 53. Oh. Wait, 52. Yeah. I'm smart. 53. And this one is 54. So you may be wondering, what about 51? We have right here the AO intensity. AO intensity. And for those of you that are following along, I got rid of what was disconnecting these two because they don't need to be disconnected. It just creates an abundance of reroute nodes that aren't necessary. Make this one, so this is 52, so this one needs to be 51. Perfect. Now then, the only one we have left is the normal. So let's bring that up all the way down here. We're going to hold down the 1 to get a 1. Perfect. Then we're going to hit reroute, noise intensity. Not noise, I keep doing that. Normal intensity. Normal intensity. So now you see how I keep things in an more organized fashion so that we can keep things a little more cleaner. So we have UVs. The only reason I don't have these surrounded by their own is because there's a lot of additional work we're going to be doing to set up triplanar. And that's what we will be starting next week, is getting triplanar started because the last 2 nodes here require triplanar for when triplanar is active. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.